like I'm out here and I have to get to that star and I have to jump on these precision platforms to get to that spot, and I don't stop what I'm doing until I get to that thing. If I fall down, I can't just like, you know, I can't just like restart and go up again. I have to like, or like climb back up something to get back up there like quickly. I have to like move around. Again, Dishonored is a good example of like that kind of stuff. I'll give you that it's not the main goal. It's not. It's not. They don't have sections from the stuff that I've played where they are consistently asking you to do this, and Half-Life consistently actually asking you. And I will say this as well. Moreover, Dying Light, the platforming, you are not slippery. I've played enough to know that you're not slippery. You don't have momentum-based platforming. Same thing with Mirror's Edge. When you're playing Mirror's Edge, when you jump, it's very like instant. You do it. You don't just like start sliding and like it did not feel right. I felt like Mario on ice. It was bad. But again, 1998. So like that parkour is rock solid. I fully agree. Fully agree. What was another one? Oh, Infamous. The first Infamous game. 3 out of 5. Really solid game. Really love it. Did some really cool stuff. The PS3 cannot handle it. They need to remaster that game so bad. A lot of older controls were stiff for 3D platforming. They really were. And especially on PC. Like, first-person platforming on PC was just not great. Infamous so good. Infamous is really good. Infamous cannot really run on a PS3 is the problem. The first one. The frame rate is barely able to hit like 30. And I don't really mind. I've had this discussion before. I don't really mind having like a low frame rate because like Ocarina of Time plays at like 20 FPS is like its standard, but it hits 20 consistently. Infamous is not consistent. Infamous is like if you look at those like Digital Foundry charts, it's like a Richter scale. It's terrible. It's terrible. So other than that, though, it's pretty cool. Oh, and also the parkour is kind of, it's fine. It's fine. Oh man, what else? Monster Boy is great. Ratchet and Clank was weird. Ratchet and Clank was weird, the 2016 one, because like it's still Ratchet and Clank, so it's like it's really good. I got like 75% of the the trophies in that game, but it's tied to the movie, and it uses movie cutscenes when it doesn't need to. It's weird. It's just weird. I don't know. Let's see. I had something else to say. I wrote it down. Now I can't find it. Of course. Oh, here's the thing. I want to start this. This is the discussion point for tonight. I have several, but this is one of them. Have y'all seen the stuff about how people are like now pushing back against like the practice of teabagging in video games? I don't know if anyone's seen this. Are y'all aware of this at the moment? Do y'all know what's going on with that? The controversy surrounding teabagging in video games? Teabagging belongs in games, okay? But do you know about the controversy that's going on? You will die on this hill. I'm with you. I'm honestly, I'm kind of with you. Honestly, I'm kind of with you. Nope, no multiplayer games for me, so don't deal with it. Haven't heard. Okay, so here's what's going on with the teabagging situation. There was a thread on Twitter. Moist Critical talked about it. I'll link the video here. Let me find the video. I'll link it. You can watch it if you want. Moist Critical linked the video where he was talking about how he can't get out of his brain this thread that he read on Twitter where somebody made the comparison. They essentially said that teabagging in video games, right, is the same thing as real world sexual assault and should be prosecuted as such, which is just such a jump. And more importantly, it's a jump that to me is like, it is tantamount to saying killing somebody in a video game makes you a killer in real life. That's a big no. That's what I'm saying. And I'm just like, you have, like, what is happening? Let me find this video where he talks about it. It's a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's horrible tweet I can't stop thinking about is the name of the video.
This is going to be...
That's amazing. There he goes. That's horribly discrediting to actual sexual assault survivors. Exactly my point. Yes, 100% correct. And again, it does two things. Two things for me here. Let's get Devin Nash style stuff going on. Boop boop boop. Devin Nash style. I think it's more of a taunt like in Smash, maybe in bad taste, but by no means actual assault. That's the thing. It's like, I'm fine if somebody wants to say like, hey, can you like really not do that, please? Like, I don't appreciate that. Okay, fine. I think it gets really murky in the realm of like competitive stuff, because then you get into this, competitive games are just weird, right? Like the FGC is weird, pretty welcoming, but weird. Sports games communities are weird, welcoming, but weird. There's this weird dichotomy of like, there's always going to be, in any kind of competition, there's going to be people who are like, want people to engage in it, and then the people who want to prove that they're like the best at it, while actually not being that great. A good example would be like my buddy Jay plays in a rec soccer league, right? You got to respect a good, well-earned bag in Battlefield. Oh yeah, you got to be a good sport in esports, and that's where I'll give you that. No, 100%. And that's why I think that more esports, if they wanted to be taken seriously, need to do some level of like, I don't know if you've seen, like if you guys watch sports at all, but when you like anyone who's playing a sport, after they've played whatever game that they're doing, they are borderline forced to meet, shake hands, and say good game. And that is not something that always happens in the esports I have seen. Some of them it does, but not all of them. But, you know, being a good sport is tough, because then you have trash talkers, right? And like, let's look at something like the NBA. If you trash talk in the NBA, somebody's like gonna do, like Russell Westbrook is gonna dunk on you. That's just like, or Steph Curry is gonna drain a three from like the other side of the court and then just tell you to shut up. So I don't know, I go back and forth on that one because of how broad the gaming community is, but at the end of the day, like, you're right, you need to try and be as professional as possible. I think sometimes there's a line to be drawn, but let's look at this thing. So oh, cool, good, very small. Bilbo T. Baggins. So here's the claim. Let's see if I can find the actual Twitter thread, because it's absolutely ridiculous. No, it doesn't link it, which is good. I wouldn't have linked it either. But the first comment is so good. Look at this first comment. Are you kidding me? This is exactly how I feel about it. Where's it at? Imagine walking up to a victim of a real sex crime, looking them in the eyes and telling them, I know how you feel, I got teabagged in Halo. That's my main problem. This right here sums up exactly how I'm feeling about it. Like, this is just not the same thing. This is just not the same thing. And it is a hill, like Samir said, this is a hill where I'm like, look, we can talk about the merits. We can talk about the merits of it being like acceptable and part of like the bylaws in a tournament. Like if you teabag in a tournament, you're out. I think that's totally acceptable. But at the same time, I do think that there are, you know, as a, for instance, one of the best games that I've played recently, Splitgate, has a mode called Teabag Confirmed, where you have to run up to somebody that has been killed and teabag them to get a point. It's like kill confirmed. It's amazing. It's so much fun. And more importantly, like, playing with friends and teabagging them is hysterical. To me, it's tantamount to like a taunt in like a fighting game, you know? Like, they have in fighting games a taunt button. You hit like two things and like they do a taunt. There's a whole character, Dan Hibiki, whose whole deal is one of his supers is a super taunt. You waste all your bar to do a cool taunt to show how much better you are than the person that you're fighting. If that's not okay, or if that is okay, then to me, we're on the same page as like this. This is the same thing. Because then we get into the weird stuff of like, okay, technically, yes, if you're playing as like a human character doing that to another human character, then it's like murky. Weird flex, but okay, yeah, exactly. If you're playing as like a human character doing that to another human character, I guess technically what you've done is that in the game. Not the same thing as real life. Just on the same page. Not the same thing. But what if you're not playing as a human character? What if you're playing as like, I don't know, what if you're playing in a game like Goat of Duty? You're not a human. 100% not the same. No, not even close. What if you're playing as a robot? Also, are you projecting like genitalia onto this video game character? Do we know that they have the capacity to quote unquote teabag? Who knows? It's just not the same. And it's driving me crazy because I've seen more and more people jump into the bandwagon of like, oh yeah, no, we should like enforce that, like people should like be careful about that. And I'm just like, guys, it's a dangerous precedent to set. It's a dangerous precedent to say like, okay, we can't have that because that could be bad potentially. Because that's how we move into the Jack Thompson territory of video games cause violence. To me, it's the same logical argument. And it's just not that. It's just not that. Like we have so many studies that have shown that video games do not cause violence. This thing will not cause this. They're not the same. Anyway, how little does someone have to have going on to get upset over some teabag? It's like big hall monitor energy, for real. It is like the least amount of power that goes to people's heads of like, well, I participate in this community and I have nothing else going on. Therefore, let me stir up some controversy and post a quote unquote hot take that I am just going to pretend to myself is real. I mean, the crouch mechanic is pretty important in FPS. It's not like you can limit where a character model crouches. Exactly. And that's the problem. And then like, there's another one that Moist Critical posted where he was talking about how this whole team got banned from a tournament because they teabagged each other. Theoretically they could, but it would be a waste of time because then you're gonna have somebody like getting the logical argument is at some point somebody's gonna get killed because they couldn't crouch because they were over a body of a different player. What's up, Tanner? How's it going? But anyway, so Moist also was talking about how he found this other clip of this team got banned from an Apex tournament because they didn't teabag like the other team that they were playing against. They teabagged each other. Like one of them died. They were, out there playing. One of them died, and then the other guy ran over to his teammate and teabagged him as a joke and ran off, and they immediately got banned. And I'm like, what is happening? How is your hall monitor energy to say, no, that's not going to happen? And apparently also the person who was running that tournament, they were streaming themselves like, doing the tournament, and they were calling it out being like, yeah, we're not going to accept that, blah, 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 blah. And then people in the chat were like, hey, that wasn't them doing that to like another team, which, well, okay, like, yeah, you're right. It could be unsportsmanlike stuff. We don't like that. Fine. But that was their buddy. Like that was the person on their own team. And the tournament organizer doubled down and was just like, doesn't matter. We won't accept it at all. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing. Anyway, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about because I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills every time I read that. I'm just like, who actually believes it? Because I haven't talked to a single person who actually believes this in real life. And I would like to, just to kind of like see where their mind's at. But like I'm kind of at a loss for words with it. I'm just like I don't know where the disconnect could possibly be. I get wanting to like make games as welcoming as a place as possible, gaming in general. I'm all for that. All for that. It's one of the big reasons I'm really, really, really passionate about like the accessibility stuff that Microsoft is doing. Like big claps to Microsoft for all their accessibility controllers. Those things are so cool. Do y'all know about this? Hold on. Microsoft accessibility controller. Did I type it right? Close. Look at this. They have an adaptive controller. And it's only like $100. Like, this thing is really cool. I hadn't heard about accessibility controllers, but usually Microsoft is the king. They're doing a really good job of it. Like, this thing, look at all these, you can plug in different types of attachments for every single button. And these are like some of the different attachments you can have. So like, you know, here's a good example. This player is using a couple of joysticks for specific things, but also like the main button, they can hit with their head. It's amazing. There's also like, yeah, you can remap everything. It's just, this is such a good job. This is such a good job. And look at all, like, look at this. The kit, what's the kit? Show me the kit. Doesn't want to load the kit. The kit is down. They have a foot pedal. You can attach a foot pedal, like, to control like a button press. It's really, 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 really cool. I love this. This is something that like we should be praising more, you know? This is something like we as gamers should say, hey, Microsoft, we like that. If you remember correctly, it was kind of pricey. It's $100. This is $100. That is very accessible. That is not bad at all. If this was like $300, I'd be like, really, like, good try, but like, it's $100. Are you kidding me? And like, apparently all of these little plugs in the back here, unified hub for devices to make gaming more accessible. I love it. I love it. Plug in essentially like whatever attachments you can to these to do them. Like you can make the right stick like a nunchuck because like you can't hold a controller for whatever reason. It's so cool. I love that. Anyway, this is something that's really, really cool. We should be applauding. I was going somewhere with this. What was I saying? Accessibility. Oh, we want to make games more accessible to as many people as possible. You know, this going back to the main thing. Going back to the main thing of like, we want to make games as accessible to as many people as possible because then more people will play games, and games are awesome and we like people playing video games, right? That's the whole goal. And I also understand, hey, we need to work on making our communities more open and more inviting to more people because there's a lot of people who could potentially be scared off by really toxic communities. Great example, League of Legends has been working on that forever. I wouldn't say that they're there yet, but they're working on it. The fighting game community has this like really weird stigma attached to it of like, yeah, there are some like trashy people in that community, but like in my experience, the FGC is they want you to play fighting games. They want you to come in and like, hey, you don't know how to play an anime fighter. Cool. Come down and sit. It's like, here, sit down with me. Yeah, I brought an extra stick. Here, play like this. Oh, you don't like playing stick? Cool. Here's a gamepad that I brought. You can play with that. Here's how this stuff works. Do this. This button does this. That character is probably great for you. You know, Kirby made 5 ever. Let's go. Oh man, we should do a Smash night. That'd be fun. Samir, could your internet handle Smash? Too soon. Anyway, I play Ganondorf, so the hotspot can fair. Gamer. Thank you, Holden. It can't. I'm with you there. I am hot garbage at all fighting games, and that's okay. But all that said about how like, hey, we want to have more games be more accessible to more people. Ooh, Ganondorf player talk about toxic. Listen, I'll admit that like I do some toxic crap with Ganondorf. I cannot deny that. My whole goal is to make you miserable that we picked the stage. That's all I'm gonna say. all that to say, back to the original point of conversation, which was, is teabagging acceptable in video games? The problem is you're essentially saying you can't express anything ever when you're playing a game because it could be misconstrued as mean. Or 1v1 me on Pokemon Battle Arena. If you want a 1v1 on Pokemon with me as a Ganondorf, good luck. That's all I'll say. Those platforms are perfect height for my front smash, but whatever. I don't want to get into it. Anyway. Please no. Oh God. The problem is, again, like, back to the whole thing about like games being more inclusive and more accessible. The problem with saying something like teabagging can't be done is because you're then saying to the players, you're not allowed to express, because the next step down from that is you can't yell at each other. You can't get hype when you win a match because it makes the other person feel bad. Here's the problem. Sometimes losing can be a motivating factor to get better. Not being humiliated, that's a different connotation. That's a whole different can of worms. Being humiliated is one thing. Getting beaten is a whole different thing. Right? And the problem is teabagging is so banal to me, and so like such a benign thing. It's such like a non-issue, especially compared to like some other stuff I've seen online, and like the way that people communicate to each other in like, oh, I don't know, Overwatch as an example. Like, it's just, yeah, exactly. The trash talk that came out of my mouth when I got my first nuke would have made it exactly, but that's the point. Imagine being a beta Ganon when you could be the Giga Chad Little Mac. I mean, facts. Only way to go in Pokemon Stadium is Pokemon Trainer versus Pokemon Trainer. What about 8 Pokemon Trainers? Little Mac is the ultimate decider of if you were, because the problem is everyone always just plays Cloud anyway. It doesn't matter. They play Cloud or Sonic or Ness, which is my other person that I play. Toxic. I am toxic in that way. Sorry. You made Little Mac? No, that's fair. Kirby. Samir plays Kirby, so. Again, my point being is kind of like Samir said, is like, playing a game, you're gonna feel things, right? You want to be able to feel things, and you want to be able to express the things that you're feeling. And I don't think it's appropriate to tell people you can't express things. I will say that you should be able to say to players, don't be a jerk about it. Are you just all talking about the different kinds of Kirbys you play? Oh my gosh, Blue Kirby is clearly the best one. The down taunt, yeah. Hi. Lord. So that's the first thing, right? That's the one of the main things I wanted to talk about. Is I saw people jumping on this taunting or teabagging situation, and I just don't agree, like, at all. And I don't know. It's almost a hill I will die on, and being like, we have to be able to express stuff. We have to be able to talk about, like, hey, I whooped your tail. Don't be a jerk about it, but like, I am going to teabag you every once in a while. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. Because you know why? Because you did it to me, and that's okay. We can have like a respectful, fight about it or whatever. I also think that back in the days, Get Good. I mean, kind of, yeah. I also think that kind of one of the things that has exacerbated that problem, and almost like kind of exacerbated the toxicity of the gaming community. Teabag is just frustrating, but I don't care about it. I'm just competitive. That's exactly, because people are competitive. I feel like online multiplayer has made stuff infinitely worse, because if you go on, like, imagine the people who are because we've all experienced this. If you've played any games online at any point, you've experienced like the absolutely most toxic player of all time on some team somewhere, right? We've all experienced that, right? Like hands raised if you have experienced potentially the worst human being on the planet while playing video games online. I have. I've seen them. I've talked with them. They were on my team. I felt like apologizing for them existing. It was really bad. But I don't believe that that person would have said any of those things had they been like in person. Modern Warfare 2 COD, yeah. Xbox Live community was pretty toxic in Halo 2-3 days, yeah. Exactly, that's kind of my point, is like Modern Warfare 2 was really bad, Halo was really bad, people jumped from Halo over to COD, Madden has been bad. I've played with some people with on FIFA in the past, and so there's some, you would be shocked the amount of people on FIFA. You probably wouldn't be shocked, but like, every once in a while you're just like, oh, right, you exist. That sucks. And there's something to be said for the way that I want to give Microsoft some credit. Am I going to call Jay out like that? It's not Jay. I've been playing with Jay, and Jay has encountered that toxic person who it just berates him while he's playing the game. And Jay is a very patient man, and he will deal with it longer than I would. I'll tell you that much. I about ripped the the mic off his headset and been like, "Let me tell you something," you know. But I did not, because it was not mine, and that would be rude, and then I would feed into it. Anyway, my point being, Microsoft has actually done a pretty decent job of like helping its own Xbox Live community get a lot better. The online stuff, at least, because they're actually listening. That's one of the main problems, is they're actually listening to every single interaction, and they have certain things that trigger like warnings and flags, and it's all really interesting. That FIFA stream with my friends was fun. The one that you got timed out in, I remember that. That was funny. No problem, Samir. But I think one of the issues is, because we're all online now, it becomes way easier for us to view the person on the other side as nothing more than just a voice. And that's a problem, because then we don't have really any accountability on what we're actually saying, right? For all the benefits of being able to play with people across the globe, which is awesome, and I don't want to get rid of it because of that, because that's a huge benefit. But I think that people are slowly realizing, ooh, I don't actually have to care about the person on the other end of the line, because I don't know who they are, and I can just be the worst version of myself possible. And it's just not always cool. But local multiplayer makes that almost a non-issue. I've been to a lot of fighting game tournaments because I like watching them, and they're really fun. And I've played in a couple. Injustice 1, Solomon Grundy, let's go. Pain Chain, baby. But two things about that. Number one, let's go back here. Bilbo T. Baggins. Oh, that's funny. Local multiplayers. The FGC. Two things. One, if you do what you would do online, you get banned. Like immediately. Like just immediately. That's something I've noticed in FGC tournaments, is when you go someplace, most of them I've been to, some of them are like, we'll tolerate stuff, and that's a whole different conversation. But as a, for instance, if I was playing, I was playing in an Injustice 1 tournament way back in the day, like 2013, and I heard somebody at the station next to me pop off after winning, and they said some stuff that I'm not going to repeat. Samir hopped in Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. Popping in and out of chat for Car Mechanic Simulator 20. Unbelievable. Back to the story. This guy said some stuff. It's my new obsession. Stop it. You're killing me with the simulator games. The simulator. It's hysterical. Anyway, guy next to me pops off, says the worst stuff you could potentially hear. If a word that like you would never ever say comes in your mind, he said it. gone. You cannot participate anymore. Gone. That's good. I like that. We need more of that, I think. And I think that local multiplayer, like, you have to confront the person that you're like berating, and it becomes way harder to lack empathy in that situation, right? It's harder for me, unless it's Tanner or Samir, who I know, or Holden, who I know. I'm not gonna berate Drawful without getting to know them first. And if I do berate them, it will be in a joking way at worst. At worst, right? It's easy to do that when you're actually playing face-to-face with somebody. But when you're playing online, you can get away with a lot before somebody has to be like, okay, repeated offenses, no, right? It's a balancing act. Number 2 about the FGC. Smash players are giant babies who need to get over themselves. Listen, the amount of, hold on, let me rephrase this. Melee players. Melee players are some of the most giant babies on the planet. Okay? I like Melee a lot. I'm not the best at Melee, but I understand some of the like more advanced mechanics and how to do some of the cooler stuff. I need to express how little the television matters. Did it have the smell rule for Smash? Exactly my point, Tanner. Thank you. Yes, exactly true. It's bad. It's bad. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like something about Smash in general that brings out this like part of the community. But like, man, they're the worst. I played in one tournament back in the day, in Greensboro with the local like arcade. They set up a tournament and I was like, yeah, I'll play because I know the owners, it'll be fun. They also said that they would never do another Smash tournament because of the players that came out. They were complaining about the brand of the CRT that was being used. This is like 2012. It's borderline impossible to find CRTs in general, cathode ray tube televisions. And this local arcade, they had a bunch because they wanted to do this, and they brought them out. And there were some people who came to this tournament who were complaining that, oh, actually that Hitachi, I don't want to play on that one because that one introduces like 0.01% more lag than this other one, which is not scientifically accurate. But they were complaining about it because they were an entitled like 16-year-old who didn't understand that like it's a local tournament chill, right? And that thing, Melee play, they are really bad. That's the last final thing here is amateurs who think they are professionals need to just go home. That's about amateurs, right? Yes. So negligible delay, zero delay. Drawful, zero delay. The science behind a cathode ray tube television is that there is literally zero delay, regardless of which brand you're using. The physics of a cathode ray television and the way that the cathode ray is shooting, like there is no lag. It's impossible. And it's certainly not nearly as much as it is on like a LCD screen, right? So anyway, this one is just kind of like everything. All competition has people like this. This is human nature, I feel like. There are people who take stuff very seriously, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of this. I have a real problem with like not trying to do my best at something. I'm very bad at this, which is a reason I don't play a lot of competitive games. And I especially, like, you can ask Jay, there's been times when like we have played like competitive games together, and I'm still mean. it's a problem for me. So I don't play it because like I don't want to be that person. So I'm not going to be that person. Anyway, long story short is local multiplayer helps against all this kind of stuff. That's why you don't play fighting games. Understandable. It gets too sweaty. No, I agree. One of my favorite experiences is playing like fighting games with like friends, the locally again. And again, locally is like really the paramount for me. Is if I can like learn how to play like a Street Fighter game with people that I know, it's so much fun. Like when SF6 comes out, me and Emmy are going to do something vis-a-vis like some kind of online, not for serious tournament with all of y'all, because that'll be hilarious, just completely hysterical. It's going to be amazing, but it's for funs, right? Because the games are fun. I don't want to discredit people who are like trying to get sweaty at like a video game, because like, good gracious, especially in like the fighting game community, those people are absolutely out of their mind with how good they are at these games. But like, it just ain't for me. It just ain't for me. Anyway. So here's one I think is gonna maybe potentially stir up some good discussion here. This is something that I talked about a little bit on Discord, and not a little bit, a lot of it, and something I want to get y'all's opinions on as we chat here. And I can express myself via voice and not text, because text is the worst form of communication. It's horrible. You can't express any kind of nuance. You can't express emotion. It's not good. Anyway, so Skate recently had its announcement about being free to play, and the overwhelming response that I heard to it was doom and gloom. Not like, oh, interesting choice, let's see how that turns out. It was, they've ruined the series. Now, I don't necessarily disagree that, because I mean, it is EA. That's the one thing that I also want to point out is the more I like dug into like the comments of like some of these people who are talking about it, the more I saw people weren't really concerned about the free to play model so much as they were concerned about that's EA doing it, right? And they have a history of being greedy, we'll say. So that wasn't great. Let me pull up some examples of that. Actually, I have them pulled up. Had them pulled up. Spawn Wave, by the way, if you guys don't know, is a really great YouTuber. Let's see. Yeah, so they posted. How do you feel about the new Skate game being a live service game? Right here. How do you feel about the new Skate game being a free-to-play live service game? I said, Spawn Wave is very good. I said, I mean, like, I don't really care. Like, it's not a big deal. The overwhelming response was, I don't like it. I'm concerned how monetization will be handled. This is the overwhelming consensus that I've seen on the internet, is I don't like it. I'm concerned how monetization will be handled. Which, again, when I dive into the comments, it's mostly, it's not about the monetizations. It was expecting that I wanted something offline. Okay. I voted second option, but that has more to do with EA than being free to play. The two mixed together results in unfavorable outcome. This I don't disagree with. Right. And that's the one thing that like I feel like it gets missed a lot is I think the problem is people start lumping in all free to play games with the way that EA and Activision do free to play games, which I don't think is fair, because what ends up happening is you get these just reactions, right? EA does a bad track record. Yeah, I'm apprehensive, but hopefully it's fine. Again, like, I am cautiously optimistic about it. But that's how I am in most things, if I'm honest with you guys. I'm cautiously optimistic about most things in video games. Other than Diablo Immortal. I played it back in 2018. I knew that game was going to be trash. I don't care what anyone says. I knew it from day one. I was like, this game's gonna be bad. Or the Halo TV show. I was not cautiously optimistic. I watched the first episode. I was like, nope, I'm out. Anyway, yeah, I'm generally like, I want to see what they do with it. I want to see what happens with it. The problem is, somebody did some data mining on like the public beta thing. Not public beta, the what's the word I'm looking for? The like alpha that they're doing. And data mined that they saw what are called product boxes. So we'll see how that goes. I do think Forced Online is unfair, being somebody who likes single player games. I agree with that. I agree with that too. Again, that just comes back to like the expectation, right? Like if the expectation is I want to be able to just hop into this game and play it offline and do what I feel like, I don't necessarily disagree that that should be something that you want. The problem is they've done that 3 times, and especially the third game did not sell very well. The third game really did not sell very well. Let me see if I can find it. Skate 3 sales numbers. Boom. Let me find this first one, actually. Skate series sales numbers. Boop. Boop. That's not the same one. Are these it? Okay, 2.71. Yep. Yeah. Okay, where's the first one? This is videogamecharts.com. VG charts. Find Skate. I don't disagree with that though, Drawful. I kind of agree, like if you're looking to do some level of, there it is. Okay, so Skate 1 sold about 700,000 units, which is pretty decent. So 700,000 units for the first Skate game, right? Like that's not amazing, but it's not bad, especially for like a brand new IP competing with something like Tony Hawk. Like that's actually pretty impressive, all things considered. When did this game come out? 2009. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2009. What came out that year? Yeah, so they were like primed to take over for this series because the 2 games that came out in 2009, this past several were like motion-based games, right? Vert came out, Ride came out, Shred came out the next year, Pro Skater HD a couple years later, Proving Ground was probably like, and Project 8 were like the 2 big ones previously. Thug was 6 years old at that point, and Thug is arguably the best Tony Hawk game. So 700,000 units is pretty decent. Skate 2 sold, that's Skate 2? Yeah. Skate 2 sold 1.9. Moving up, Skate 3 sold 2.7 million. So we're seeing steady growth, which is cool, right? But overall, these numbers pale in comparison to what EA is pulling from other franchises, right? So let's look up something like, what else came around? Dead Space. Dead Space also came out around that time. Yeah. 6 million units. So Dead Space sold 6 million. Or shipped 6 million. Dead Space, let's do this one. This is the better one. 2 million. Dead Space 1 sold 2 million. That was almost the exact same year as, and that was the PS3 version. Let's see all. Yeah, 2 million. Okay. Dead Space 2, all. 4 million units. So like this is already doubling the best that the Skate series did. The reality is Skate was kind of a niche product. Not really niche, but for EA, 2 million units is niche. As weird as that is to say, for EA, that is niche. And that sucks. And like, I wish that weren't the case, but like the reality is they're not going to fund something that avant-garde, for lack of a better term. I want to see what Mirror's Edge did. I forgot about that. I want to say like 1 million. I can't spell. Still can't spell. Mirror's Edge, all 2.5 million. So again, Mirror's Edge sold 2.5 million units, and the best that the Skate series did was 2.7. So I appreciate that. Like, we want that. Like, I agree. As someone who's a huge fan of single player games, I want more single player stuff, right? But I think, and this was something I mentioned on Discord, I think that the formula for what Skate is might be more beneficial or more long-term viable for almost a live service model. Now, does that mean that I have to be tied online? That we don't know. We don't know really anything other than like what they said in that 18-minute presentation on IGN that they got posted to IGN that I saw, where they were like, yeah, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this. So really where I'm at with this is like, I just don't know. And I just want to see what happens, right? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm the word that Tander said, apprehensive but hopeful. I'm kind of right there. I'm like, I think this could work. This could be, if they do it right, probably won't, but if they do it right, it could be a really cool thing. Rather than having to, potentially, because again, like what's the best case scenario if they make Skate 4 just like a standalone thing? It sells 3 million units, 4 million units. What did freaking Call of Duty sell this past year? It's not EA. What did Battlefield sell? Battlefield 2049, right? That's the one. There's a lot of Battlefield games. I should probably type it in, huh? Too much. Amen. 2042, sorry. On PC. No sales history. Tight. Okay. PS4. Got it. No sales history. Do we have any? Let's see. We'll find the sales. What was the first month sales? First month makes up about 80%. Okay, yeah. So within the first week, it sold more than 4 million copies. Battlefield, within the first week, sold 4.23 million copies within the first week. So, to be generous, it may have sold 6 to 7 million at this point. The best that a niche game like Skate is going to do, if you do Skate 4, is probably the same, maybe 4 million, maybe 6, maybe. But Battlefield got slammed by really bad reviews. What's the other big EA franchise? Madden. What's it? Madden 23? Is that right? It's not out yet. Madden 22. Do we have numbers? A lot of it. Madden 22, in July of 2018, Madden NFL 22 sold 7 million copies. Madden is Madden, but Madden is EA, is my point. I agree with you, but like, the reality is EA is looking at it from a numbers perspective, right? And like, as much as I think that's a stupid decision because they're alienating the vast majority of people who like their IP, the reality is that they don't care, and they haven't for years, right? So for them to take a risk on Skate in general, I think is a big step in the right direction. And then also for them to take a big risk on making it a free-to-play game, I mean, it is a risk, right? Like they're investing money up front with no guaranteed return in the back end because you're not making sales, right? That's a big deal. So how do we react? How do we as the gaming community react to EA seemingly take? Some people really liked Skate. I think I saw critical play. Yeah, I really like Skate. I have all 3 games. I really like it. But again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of EA needs to start making the right decisions, right? And the problem is for the past, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years, since 2009-ish, they have not been making very good decisions, except for stuff that will make them a lot of money, right? And we as the gaming community have been speaking out against that pretty vehemently. I would say somewhat, in some ways, we've been a little bit entitled about it. Voting EA the worst company in America like 3 years in a row is a little ridiculous. They're bad, but they're not like, you know, giving people cancer or like poisoning the planet. You know, trades and balances. All that being said, I really want to see EA start making some more weird decisions, right? Because when EA does weird decisions, then we get stuff like SSX and NBA Street, and gosh, a new SSX game would be really cool. Are you kidding me? Or we get Mirror's Edge and Dead Space, and those are like weird decisions, right? Like they don't need to make that decision to like sell stuff, but like that's what brings people back to buying your franchise over and over again, right? Because the problem is you don't like EA has picked up on their whole model has been, how can we make an okay game that a lot of people like rather than making a great game that a few people love, if that makes sense. Let's write that down. EA strategy since 2009. Make, what's the word I'm looking for? Socially acceptable games that appeal to the general public and that guarantee annualized franchises. Annualized, semi-annualized. Your Battlefields, your Battlefronts, your Maddens, your FIFAs, those are their big money makers, right? Those are the things that they want to keep making over and over and over again. Make okay games that a lot of people like instead of great games that a few people love. Because the reality is, Skate is a game that is a great game that a few people love. Few being 2.7 million copies, right? Grand total sales for the entire franchise is like what, 4 million? We'll say 4 million. We'll say 5. Grand total sales is 5 million, which is fine, and I like that. Dead Space, same concept. Like, they went from a niche genre, survival horror, into Dead Space 3, which is basically just RE6 but different, which is fine. But like the reason, like RE is another really good example. Resident Evil tried to do the same thing, tried to just keep like trying to capture that lightning in a bottle that was Resident Evil 4 for like 5 games, right? Like you had RE5, which is fun but only when you're playing with someone else. RE6, which again is fun but only when you're playing with someone else. Revelations, which is fine but it's whatever. Revelations 2, like there's kind of a missing chunk of like, they just started making Western games instead of leaning into what makes Resident Evil unique. And then when they did Resident Evil 7, well, Resident Evil 7 sold a lot of copies. If I can find it. Yeah. Resident Evil 7 sold a lot of copies. That's really good. This is like a blockbuster hit for Capcom. And it's because they focused on what makes the game unique, right? And again, as I'm sitting there looking at what's going on, with like the way that Skate exists, the more I'm sitting there going like, yeah, as much as I would like them to focus on making something that is a contained story, I think that they've realized, okay, how can we strike a balance between making something that is, fun to play for the most people and potentially makes us more money than we would have had we just sold a standalone copy. Again, all of this is predicated on them actually following through with what they said about not doing admittedly gross things with their microtransactions, because they very easily could. But maybe they won't. I don't want to get rid of that. Like, I don't want to come in here with doom and gloom being like, I'm ready to hate this thing, let's go. I want to be like, let me give it a shot and see what's up with this. Because a good example of that being like Skater XL. I played Skater XL a couple years ago, and Skater XL is like one of my favorite games. That game is so much fun. That game is so cool. Are you kidding me? And if I had been like the vast majority of people, they could come in and go like, oh man, this game right here, garbage. You know why? They're charging $40 for a prototype. Are you kidding me? I don't like that. They should have just made this game free to play. That was the argument when Skater XL came out. They should have just made this game free to play. It's not finished yet. And it's so ironic to me that like, because that was not an established series, they got flack for selling it as a premium game. Premium games, by the way, are just games that sell for a set price, like 60, 70 bucks. They sold it for 40, just so we're on the same page. They gave them so much flack. I had some guy come in chat and he was like, how are you even playing this garbage game? I was like, I'm actually having a blast with this game. This game is really fun. $40 for a tech demo. I'm like, well, the tech demo that they're going to update with free stuff, like consistently, which they have, by the way. And like that I think works, but I think EA is trying to find a balance for it. And I just don't want to approach anything in games, especially concerning the larger publishers, with that level of doom and gloom, because we have been so vocal for such a long time about how they need to fix stuff. And again, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt this time and see what happens. And I could be burned, but I'll tell you one thing: I'm not actually gonna be burned, because it's not gonna cost me any money to play it. So it's the same thing with like what Halo is doing, right? Like Halo is absolutely killing themselves right now. I don't know how they're able to do this, but they have absolutely killed any momentum that they had by monetizing their admittedly okay game so poorly. It's such a bad system. And all I've heard is this is just not fun to play long term, because I had a lot of fun with it short term, but I'm, again, not a competitive guy, not playing competitive games guy. All I've heard is it's whatever, but I wish they would do this instead. We need more content. We need more of this. We need more of that. And unfortunately, that stuff costs money. And they've just shot themselves in the foot. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you go up against something like freaking Battlefield 2042, which itself shot itself in the foot. Sorry, Samir. I love you, bud. But like, wow, we've had so many conversations about that game. And somehow Halo was like, hold my beer, let me go now. I'm going to make it even worse. You thought that was bad? My turn. Oh my gosh. Speaking of that, look at this. Look at this. Halo Infinite concurrent players. Let's see. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, look at this. At the time of writing, this is Game Byte. This was disagree. Yeah, this was 2 weeks ago. Battlefield 2042 has 3 times as many players. 2042 has 3 times the player base of Halo Infinite. Think about that. One of the, like, I can't, the mind boggles. The mind boggles. Thanks, Game Byte. It's crazy. Battlefield 2042 has managed to retain about, what, 2,000, they said? Let me find it. 24-hour peak was 7,000. Not bad. Not bad. What happened? Here's what happened. Look at what happened here. Look at this. 24-hour peak, 5,200. They have less than that. It's crazy. The problem is they just... They let's talk about it. Here's the problem. They didn't make it fun to buy things in the game. This is a really simple point that I think gets completely missed whenever, like, most developers make games. They need to make buying stuff fun. I don't want to regret buying something. I want to be like, oh yeah, I need more character slots. I'll buy that. I don't care. Fine. It's $1. Oh, back in the day, Halo 2. I get 5 more maps. What was the map pack? Hold on. Halo 2 map packs. 9 packs. They get 9 maps for $20. Nine maps for $20. That was back in the day. You know how many people bought that thing? So freaking many. So freaking many people bought that map pack for $20 because $20 for 9 maps is a great deal. How much is that per map? How much is that per map? Let's do the math. 20 divided by 9. Not P. 9. $2.50. They spent $2.50 per map. Per map. Back in 2005. People were willing to spend $2.50 per map back in 2005. And somehow, Halo Infinite didn't make it fun to buy things in the game. This is the main issue. They didn't do this. Moreover, they didn't release content that the players were interested in. I don't know how hard it is for people to understand that all you got to do is like, hey, let's make a really fun game. Here's the 3 steps. Boop, boop, boop. 3 steps to make a good free to play experience. And by good, I mean mutually beneficial. Did I spell that right? Whatever, you get my point. How do you make a mutually beneficial free-to-play experience? Because the reality is, someone's gonna have to make their money. They're gonna have to make their money back here. No one's gonna make a game for just charity like that. They're just not gonna do it, especially a large company like 343 and Microsoft. So, how do you make it a fun free-to-play experience? Number 1, make the game fun to play. If you don't make a fun game, no one's going to play it. Halo's fun. Halo Infinite's pretty fun. But they missed the next two steps, which are release content that keeps the game fun. If you're going to do a live service game, you have to continually release content that keeps the game fun. Fortnite does this almost better than anybody else. Constantly, they come out with new stuff. Hey, you can jump in and play as this thing. You don't have to buy them, but if you don't buy them now, you won't be able to play as them ever again. I considered hopping in to Fortnite to purchase a skin of a character from a book that I have read and really enjoy. That's how much they're like putting their tentacles out there to be like, let's get these things in this game. And it's worked. I mean, obviously, right? The game is fun and they keep releasing good content that keeps the game fun. Because the reality is this will go away eventually. After like the next thing comes out, this goes away. Splitgate is dealing with this right now. Like Splitgate is really fun, but like, how do you keep the game fun? That's what they're working on right now. That's the struggle, right? And then the other big issue that Halo is missing is make it fun to buy things. The battle pass is fun because as you play the game, you earn the stuff in the battle pass. Why would I not just buy the battle pass? Well, it's right there. You're telling me if I buy that, I've played this game for, this is not me speaking. You're telling me I've played this game for 200 hours this past month, and if I right now buy this battle pass, I get all that garbage? That's an easy deal. That's an easy deal. I mean, think about it, right? Think about it. If you're able to bring in, consistent purchasers of the battle pass, it's fun to buy stuff. The problem is this doesn't exist in Halo. It's not fun to buy things in Halo. I've not talked to a single person in Halo. It's like, oh wow, yeah. Oh man, I went and bought this like cute little like thing to attach to my gun and I love it. That's the goal, right? Like you want to be able to go in and like show off the stuff that you've purchased, and you want to like look at it the same way almost that you would like a figure, right? Or like a piece of clothing, or I guess if clothing is actually like somewhat relevant and can be used, but like, or like a painting or something like that, right? You want to be able to like see it and go like, oh man, that gives me so much joy. There's not really any benefit to it. It just kind of sits there, but like, oh man, these amiibo that I've purchased, what a waste of my money, but I love them. Look at them. So cool. Look, this is Banjo-Kazooie is staring right at me. Oh, hey guys. Like that's the feeling you want with your digital goods. And Halo just screwed that up. Like really bad. Like really bad. Number one, they did this one fine. They made a really fun game. They didn't keep it fun past like the first month. And then they definitely did not make it fun to buy things. So that's what happened. I don't know. There's been a couple of like really, really impactful free-to-play games. I don't know why you just wouldn't like literally steal what they're doing. No one has trademarked monetization strategies yet. Just do what they're doing. Warframe exists. Just do what Warframe is doing. Path of Exile exists. Just do what Path of Exile is doing. Fortnite exists. Apex exists. They all exist. Just do that. I don't know. It maybe has to do something with like they're working for Microsoft. They're like, yeah, we don't really care because we also have to work on the single player thing. It's tough. It's tough. But again, it goes back to my whole thing is like, I think that more accessibility to more games is good for more people, for most people. Fortnite is a really good experiment, or was and continues to be a really great experiment, because it took what was fun about PUBG and made it free, right? Because PUBG cost money initially, and then it didn't. because Fortnite was like, well, we'll do the same thing, but like we'll get more people to play and like stick with us. I don't know. Games are weird. Games are weird. People get so bent out of shape too about like stuff that just doesn't matter. It's weird. Like teabagging. Like who cares? It's teabagging. Or people saying get good. Sometimes get good is the only response. Because like, you know, if you're playing a game and the game is hard, how do you get past it? You just gotta get good. That's it. Oh man. It's the response. It's not the response. It is a response. Oftentimes a very useful response, but not always. I still maintain, by the way, Samir, that Battlefield, whatever the next one ends up being, they would be wise to consider the multiplayer being free to play. If they want to make a single player game, that's totally fine. I don't think anyone would really play it, but I think that if they were wise, they would look at, and maybe they're experimenting with Skate first. Who knows? Maybe they're looking at Skate. Pretty rock solid advice. You're just saying it depends. You agree with me? Yeah, I know you do. And like, I think maybe they're figuring some stuff out with Skate, and it's unfortunate that Skate might get, you know, the chopping block, for lack of a better term. They might get blasted. You're also standing your ground. You highly doubt that they will. For the next one or this one? For 2042, I'm not sure that they ever will, but I think maybe the next one they will. And the other problem that comes with it is, this is something that I saw that was really interesting on Reddit. Let me see if I can find it. Either? No. The next one for sure will be. For sure. You can buy like the package. You can like go into a store and pick the game up and it'll have, I'm sure that they're going to try and do some single player or something with it. Because that, from what I understand, was one of the big complaints about this one, was that they had some cool stuff, but like it was a multiplayer game for $60, which I also don't have a problem with. But then they, you know, we know how it all turned out. I'm for sure convinced. It's sold, but like it didn't sell that well, Samir. That's my point. We've talked about this. Like, again, we just showed the numbers. It sold 4 million in its first week. Some money of them is better than no money. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not, no. That is 100% incorrect. Here's the reason why. If they completely run the Battlefield name into the ground, they don't make any more money. They make zero money going forward. And what the best answer is, they want to make consistent money forever. You know how I know this? Madden and FIFA. Well, Madden, because FIFA's gone. But like, that's their goal. Their goal is to make an annual franchise that people, or something similar to it, where people keep coming back because they want to see what else is coming up. The problem is they've been stagnant for too long, and they have tried alternate monetization strategies that just have not worked in any capacity. They want to keep the Battlefield name big, and in order to do that, they have to convince people to buy the game or play the game. And as of right now, very few people I know are like willing to do that consistently. The people I know who play it still like it, and like that's fine. I don't begrudge anyone liking it, but like, they have a lot. They have a lot of ass kissing to do to convince people like me to come back. I agree, but wouldn't it be great if, in order to get you back in, they could say, "Hey, Samir, buddy, Bubby, yes, Samir, listen, lies." Tanner's calling you out. We know we screwed up with 2042. We're so sorry about that. We're Papa EA. We're so sorry. Listen though, listen. We made a new game. Okay. Now I know you don't want to spend the $120 on the extra deluxe package again, because we burnt you real bad last time, and we're so sorry about that. But here's what we got now. It's free. Yeah, it's free. It's really great. All you gotta do is pop in, play with your buddies, have a great old time. Have a great old time with it. You'll pre-order it. Tanner is calling you out directly, Samir. Directly. But the problem is, casuals like me, casual Battlefield fans like me, are not going to pick up the game because I got burnt back like after what was it? I played like a little bit of Battlefield 4 was fun. 1. I played a little bit of Battlefield 1 where I was just like, what would I play this for? You haven't touched the game since February? And you're a super fan. This is my point. Can you imagine if Nintendo did the same thing with Mario or Zelda? They're like, we don't really care. We just want to make a quick buck right now. No way. No way. It has been shown over and over again throughout the years that the more you take care of your franchise and listen to the people who actually care about it, the more you're going to see success. Final Fantasy was a really good example of that. They had a lot of backlash in like the Final Fantasy 13 years. They brought it right back in with 14 and 7 Remake. Not so much 15, but like 14 A Realm Reborn is crushing it because they're listening to their fans. Battlefield would do great to listen to their fans, right? If they had a free-to-play game, imagine this, Samir. Imagine a free-to-play game where you could play on any, let's not say any, let's say 2 maps from every Battlefield game that has ever come out. They're polished, they exist, they're ready for you. You can pick what kind of game you want to play in. It can be a ranked mode, and the ranked mode is just simple, like, squad-based killing stuff. It would be dope. And then people like you would be more interested in telling people like me to play the game with you, number one. And also people like you would be willing to put money into the game to have more fun with it. To be like, this is the game that I play more than anything else. I love this game so much. Let me, number one, tell my friends. Number two, spend money in this game because I love it so much and I want more games like this. That's what they need to do. And the problem is they have been going for that short buck stuff for so long that I'm just not sure that it's going to work out for them long term. I think that they're realizing, especially with 2042 only is such a weird word for EA at this point, but like it only sold 4 million copies in the first week. That's not good for them. They wanted this thing to sell probably 7 million in the first week. It's maybe not realistic, but like that's what they were looking for. And I would say that at this point it has probably sold, again, maybe 6 million, which is a lot. I'm not saying that's not a lot, but like that would be a stretch. And I am not even sure that they're going to break even. So that's a loss, which is bad. But a way that you don't have any losses is by not really like forcing people to buy into it up front. That's all I'm saying. We'll have to see. I just think that there's a lot of potential for that kind of stuff, and I'm just, I don't know. Because again, then you've got like these indie developers, for lack of a better term. Like I know Warframe isn't really indie, but like they're not part of a larger group like EA or Activision. And freaking Warframe, man. Warframe is a blast. It's a little obtuse to get into as somebody who like played it, like got into it, beginning of the year. It's a little impenetrable, but like it's free. What's the downside, right? I think I put like 20, 30 hours in that game. Didn't spend a dime. And it's still coming out with more content. Like that's the way of the future, guys. That's the way of the future. It's super fun. It's awesome. And then you've got stuff like Destiny 2, right? Destiny 2, our good friend Dylan would say that it's not actually free to play. And I agree with him. It's free to try. I would say it's more close to free to try where like you get to a certain point and then you really have to like buy into the expansions or you're not going to have the same experience as everyone else. You're going to have a super bad time. But But all that being said, Destiny 2, the first part of it being free is a big move because they're trying to make Destiny 2 just Destiny. I think that was potential. Dylan and I have talked about this a lot. He's convinced, and I think I'm with him on this. Bungie wanted Destiny to just be Destiny, like World of Warcraft. Like we all know about World of Warcraft because World of Warcraft is just wow. It just is there. You either play it or you don't, and they still make money on that game. It's crazy. But I'm convinced that they just wanted Destiny to be the same. Where like, what do you play? Oh, I play Destiny. So free to play game, free to start game, where you buy expansions every couple years. I think that's a brilliant model. That's a great model for FPS games, especially story-based ones. Because you're essentially doing the MMO thing, which is funny because like Destiny tries so hard to say like, oh no, we're not an MMO though. Like we're not. They are, but like they're not. You know, it's just funny because like they were really, really locked in with the Activision Blizzard stuff, right? Like they were locked in with doing stuff the way that AB wanted. And now that we have seen what they actually had in mind based on them buying themselves out and doing their own thing, it's almost a completely different game. Not almost, it is a completely different game. Just saying. The whole landscape is interesting. I have been pulled away from Sonic the Hedgehog to talk Destiny. Hello, Dylan. Where were you playing? You're playing Sonic? Dylan, why are you playing Sonic? What Sonic game are you playing? Tell me about the Sonics. Sonic the Hedgehog. Why are you playing Sonic Unleashed? Hold on. Why are you playing Sonic Unleashed? I'm very confused. Just like for funs? Oh, Lord. Okay, well, that's fair. I can't really fault you for that. I'm doing the same thing with a bunch of other... I beat Blue Dragon. I can't really say anything. Oh, Lord. Anyway, Dylan. We're talking about Destiny's, specifically Bungie's strategy with Destiny as it stands now versus how it was when it first launched and when they first launched D2. My contention, I think we've talked about this, is that it's pretty clear to me that they didn't want Destiny. I think you've mentioned this to me. They didn't want Destiny 1 to like end. They wanted just the game to be Destiny. But because AB was still like in their back pocket, they were like, no, make a sequel. Call it Destiny 2. And they're like, okay, fine, but we want to make it free to play. No, full release. And I'm maintaining that I think that is one of the ways that like this whole skate controversy to me is similar to that. I'm not sure about the free to play part, but it would make sense. I mean, considering they've leaned so hard into it, it to me it seems at least that clear on that way. And so again, back to the whole skate controversy stuff. I think that if we can just Destiny will last for years to come, it will. Dylan has put in too many hours into that game and will forever because that's his game, which is fine. Like there's nothing like I do the same thing with Zelda. Like that's just how it is. You do the same, Samir. You do the same thing with Battlefield. It's fine. Not gonna finish anytime soon. No, not even close. Not even close. The marketing for the first one, it was really, yeah. I remember the Easter egg in ODST. That was cool. Nearly done with the first saga. How much? So Dylan, we've talked about this offline, but you maintain, and I think we're on the same page, that Destiny is not really free to play. It's free to start, like free to try until you hit essentially the end of the main quote unquote main campaign, and then you have to buy the expansions, right? Free to try. Okay. When's the paywall though? Okay, got it. Perfect. On the same page. So, but the expansions are like what? How much are they normally? $20? $30 max? 40 maybe? Multiple paywalls. Okay. Let's say the first one that you hit as a brand new player. I know that you've not been in that boat for a long time. So, hey, Stiggy Man, how's it going? Welcome in. 40 on release progressively. Okay, so 40 on release though, and that's every what? Every year or so, something like that. Is that right? Stiggy, we're talking about free-to-play games, and we're specifically talking about how Destiny is doing something slightly different every year. So every year you are buying a $40 brand new big expansion, right? So essentially it's an annualized franchise without being an annualized franchise. With a $10 season pass 4 times a year. Right, that's not bad at all. In order to continue this interaction, wait 30 minutes or pay $49 for for rubies. That's fair. But being free to play like that, $100 a year is the best way to look at it. How is that $100 a year? I'm confused. So it's $10 4 times a year, right? That's 40. What am I missing? Or did you omit something? You could have omitted something. Best free to play games are the ones where you barely notice the paid stuff. Yes and no. Yes and no, Stiggy. I think that they can be, or at least there's an interesting thing to be said for doing everything you can to get past or ignore the paid stuff. But like, I mean, I've used it as an example a lot at this point. Oh, extra pass for the content code. I see. But like Fortnite rakes in money, and it's actually for the people who are playing that game. Okay, implementation is PlanetSide 2. There's membership, cosmetics, but if you know how to play, you can grind your way through the stuff you want, 4 to 5-ish hours at most. Yeah, exactly. Warframe is the exact same way. Warframe doesn't require a single cent from you. Based on everything I've seen, all you got to do is just play the game more, and you can unlock all the stuff in the game. All of it. Don't remember how much that is individually, but the best way to look at it is if you get the deluxe edition of the newest expansion, you'll be set. The deluxe edition is 100. I see. Got it, Dylan. I understood. I think my point is we have been almost conditioned to look at free to play as quote unquote a bad thing. And I think if done correctly, not saying that it is always done correctly, but when done correctly, it is mutually beneficial to both parties, the developers and the players. There's maximum time though. Cough, most downvoted Reddit comment in the world. cough. Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, and that's the problem is something like and that's not even a free to play game. Like Battlefront 2 is a paid game. So like what? That kind of stuff, that's a whole different can of worms. But like interacting with free-to-play games, I think, has become a stigma when it doesn't necessarily need to be. And I will say that is the fault of both the industry and the larger publishers. They're making it not a viable strategy for most people because they're monetizing the ever-loving crap out of it. But again, if you have something like a Fortnite where you pay for the battle pass and that's it, if you even want it, which you don't have to, or the character skins that you're interested in, the gameplay itself does not really change. Rip in pieces, Gotham City. Yeah, Gotham City Imposters was super fun. What an underrated gem. Rest in pieces. But because Fortnite is not made by one of the larger publishers, it's Epic, then it wasn't monetized to crap, and it's actually fun to interact with it. I wrote this little chart. Generally, I don't play a ton of free-to-play games. The mobile side of things have ads at the wazoo. True. PC side of things, you at best get bombarded with cosmetics, and at worst get slapped around by the paying players. True. Here's my chart. Here's what I wrote. Here's the 3 steps to make a mutually beneficial free-to-play experience. Number 1, I ruined it. Number 1, make a game that is fun to play. Splitgate is really fun, right? Splitgate is a very fun free-to-play game. Boom. Number 1, release content that keeps the game fun. This is one of the problems with Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite refused to do this for the longest time, and I think they still are, so people are dropping out of that game like crazy. So this is a problem for them. Make it fun to buy things. This is the one that the vast majority of people are missing. If it's not fun to purchase a thing in the game, then no one's going to purchase anything in the game. Moreover, people are going to push back on you to say like, yeah, exactly. Halo is missing these two like fully, right? So, and Splitgate to a lesser degree is missing this one. Like their content has kind of been static for a little bit. But anyway, my point remains is, if you make a fun game, you want something better. I studied gamification for a semester to look up Octalysis framework. Yeah, I guess. Let's look it up. Let's look at it. Gamification framework. Yeah, exactly. But that's looking at player behavior, right? That's looking at the entirety of behavior overall. And that's actually something that I think works in a lot of MMOs. That's one of the reasons that there's a lot of people who play FF14, is because they're able to see all of the different bits of this Octalysis framework in different pieces of the game. As a for instance, let's pull it up just so we can all see it. Epic meaning, accomplishment, empowerment, ownership, social influence, scarcity, unpredictability, and avoidance. Well, yeah, but it ties directly to free to play. No, I fully agree. But that's only one part of that free to play experience, right? Like this part here is this, and to a lesser degree this. You want to have a game that's fun, you want to keep people engaged with the game, and then you want to keep making the game fun overall. Again, FF14 does a really great job of this, is they keep making fun bits and the game stays fun, right? So, because you can experience all of these 8 things through FF14, or you can experience all 8 of these things through Fortnite, well, there you go. Your free-to-play game is now fun, right? I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it, is make the game fun to play. Did FF14 not close for new players at some point because they did not have the data center power? They ran out of space, yes. They had so many people playing the game, there was such a demand for the game to be played that they ran out of space for new players. Well, for any players, really. There were people who were waiting in lines to log into the servers to be able to play the game that they'd already invested time in. But again, that's a good problem to have if you're FF14, because you're like, oh crap, there's so many people who want to play this game. We have to change our entire server structure to accommodate for it. I mean, like, that's, yes, it sucks in the short term, but it's not like it's like a, like a data breach like on PSN or something like that. It's wow, there's too much demand for this game. That's good. That's a good thing to have. It'd be the same thing as, like, imagine if like you tried to log into Fortnite and it was just like, sorry, the servers are full. It sucks in the short term, but it's a good problem to have long term, because that means that people are wanting to play your game. Halo has the opposite issue right now. Halo Infinite has people leaving in droves because the game's not fun. 45 days offline. Yeah, no, it was PSN was ridiculous. The PSN thing was absurd. Anyway, all that to say is I think that there's something to be said for this strategy being implemented. I hope they did not have to change server setup. If so, they're terrible developers. We've been using containers for years to make sure it's scalable. Yes, it's scalable insofar as you actually have the server space available to increase the number of containers. That's kind of what I'm saying, because I'm also a developer, Sticky, and so like I know about like containers, and I know about like sharding, and I know about like all this stuff, and I think the problem is they were growing at such a consistent pace, and then they started seeing like giant spikes in the player base and people leaving WoW. Sorry, I smacked the mic. People like fleeing WoW after some changes got made there, and they weren't anticipating that influx. And yes, scalability exists, and you're right. If they had no ability to scale, then yeah, you're right. They're terrible developers, or people people didn't give them the time to actually implement it properly. But I think more likely what happened is the amount of demand put on their servers. It doesn't matter how scalable it is. If you have an influx of people in that capacity, that's bad news. But I think it's probably a combination of both. I think it is for FF14 specifically, I think it was a combination of their infrastructure was slightly not as much as they needed. And I think also, yeah, you're probably right. They didn't fully set stuff up in a way that is fully scalable. Anyway, I would argue Infinite is failing because it's not rewarding to play. Not that it isn't fun. Yeah, it's this. It's these two. It's a fun game, but like, it's not fun to buy things at all, and they haven't kept it fun. It was fun for a month for most people like me. I played it for like a month, and I was like, this game is cool. It's fine. I like what they're going with it. I need more content. And then it's gone. Infinite's main issue is that they're like, oh yeah, we have this roadmap for the next 6 months, and then a year later, they have not. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Sure, don't overwork developers, but then also make sure you have, yeah. 100% agree, Stiggy. 100% agree. As a developer, I can tell you, if you have timelines set by product owners without any reference to the devs or any like regard to what the devs say can actually be done, you are fools. Fools, I say. Anyway. Yeah, especially like if you don't hit these 6-month things, that's just bad news. It's just bad news. But I mean, Infinite's issues existed and continue to exist for similar reasons. They're just not pushing stuff out. They haven't made the game the thing, right? Especially amongst younger people, younger than me people. I'm in my 30s, so it's, for me, I'm like, oh man, I remember Halo 2 and Halo 3. I love those games. Halo 1, man, I'll play it for a month, and then old. Thank you, Dylan. I read that article years ago about Epic. It's like a full-on novel documenting developer hell. I have seen bits about it. I don't remember specifically which one, but I've seen multiple things come out of Epic, and their office culture is not ideal. And that is, unfortunately, a lot of the industry, especially in those larger scale developers or publishers. So, well, developers, it's both. Still remember shooting a wraith out of a wraith in CE Online, Combat Evolved Online. Good times. Game's so good. That game holds up. Polygon Epic Fortnite Crunch gets you the, okay, got it. Epic Fortnite Crunch from Polygon. Got it. I will read that. Thank you. It's got a bunch of llamas and cubicles. Cool. I'll read that. I'll revisit it. I'm pretty sure I read that when it came out, but thank you for the reminder. That's a whole other can of worms, the whole crunch issue. My goodness. My goodness. Again, as a developer, I can tell you, like, crunch is a thing that sometimes just happens. Not even necessarily because of like a deadline, but because of mismanaged expectations by everybody. Both the developer, project owner, project manager, stakeholders. Stuff just gets messy. So I get with great quotes like just get more bodies. That's the thing. It's the same mentality of like it's the what's the old saying? A product owner is somebody who thinks that you can deliver a baby in 4.5 months with 2 pregnant people, 2 pregnant women. If you have two women that are pregnant, you can deliver the baby twice as fast with 2 of them. Things will always go wrong 100%. About to hit some crunch. We had 750. I don't want to install that right now. Remind me later, Camera Hub. Yeah, it's Murphy's Law. Things, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. 100%. We had 750 machines left to convert at work in less than 5 months to do it, and we were doing like 100-ish a month before. Ooh, Samir's gonna be pulling some Saturday work. It seems like. I've been there. It's unfortunate because like crunch happens, but the best kind of crunch is when it's something that people are passionate about, right? Like if the game is actually fun and like interesting and something that people want to like pour their time into, they should be able to. But when it's required, I'm in my 30s. I don't have time for that. I have a wife and like a house. Like I do this crap. Like I do this stuff. And when it's rewarding, exactly. Like there were times when I was in like my 20s doing stuff and I was like, I'm just gonna stay up till 3 a.m. doing this. This is too much fun. But like I don't do that much anymore, unless it's God of War, and then I screw my whole schedule up because I'm stupid like that. But hired for a Windows 10 deployment project. We were converting from Windows 7. Ah, very nice. So that what you're saying, Samir, is that super rewarding, exactly like Dylan's saying. That is like the top tier, most rewarding work ever. Mwah. Amazing. Scripting is part of it, I'm sure, but still have to verify all of them because of the nature of where Samir works. I know because I know Samir. Basically Mother Teresa. True. Oh man. Well guys, I think I'm gonna do just a short stream tonight, but I appreciate y'all hanging out. Stiggy, thanks for coming by and hanging out. Stiggy, if you weren't aware, since you have stumbled upon this amazing spot, I am unfortunately going to be switching. Well, fortunately for me, it's not Samir. Winget is the content of Windows in the latest years. The fact that I finally can do apt-get on Windows. Oh, can you do apt-get? Oh, it's Winget. Right, of course you can. That is amazing. I do love that. Stiggy, I am actually switching over to YouTube in like 2 weeks. So, hey, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you being here, and I really love this discussion stuff, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. But over on my very, very tiny YouTube channel that is small at the moment, but working on getting bigger, because that's where I'm going to be streaming going forward, because Twitch is fine, but doesn't really care about me. So it's going to be 4K. It's not going to be 4K, no, but I do have intentions of streaming at actual 1080p, and I actually will have an upload speed, hopefully, that can actually deal with that, because I have pretty decent internet, thank goodness. But more importantly, people like my friend Samir here will be able to actually use transcoding immediately. It's kind of on Twitch, but not really, and it's not nearly as good as it's on YouTube. And like, more importantly, Twitch's ads situation is just out of control. And I know that they're kind of trying and working on stuff, but I can tell you right now on YouTube, I can just turn that crap off. I can just say like, I don't want ads. I'm done with ads. Get ads out of here. You don't think you have enough time to save it for DK mode? Maybe Samir, maybe on Wednesday, I'll just do it for you just for the sake of it. Maybe I'll just do it for fun. Who knows? I would love to watch YouTube streams. The quality is much higher, etc. But Google, why is it so hard to implement a tag filtering? I can't discover anyone. It's true. It's true. And that's the problem though, is like on YouTube streams, YouTube streaming is hard to find stuff, which is why as somebody who's going over to YouTube, I've been working on content anyway. And in the next month or so, I'm going to be start posting stuff. That's really where my mind is at. That's really what I want to be doing more often anyway. And this is kind of more of a supplement to that. So they'll help you to get discovered with videos, but streams, not as much. No one really helps you get found on streams. Anyway, simple stuff like English only. You don't care about Russian streams. Sometimes those Russian streams can get real wild though. They're really fun. Every once in a while at like 1 a.m. I'm like, what is happening right now? What is going on with this Russian stream? That is crazy town. Anyway, well, Stiggy, thanks for hanging out and being cool and having a cool discussion with me. As I said, I'm going to be over on the YouTubes going forward. Wednesday will be my last stream on this platform, which will be very fun. And then August 1st, I will be on YouTube. My wife and I are taking a week off at the end of July. Rayman, are you talking about the banner at the top? Yeah. Rayman's good. So no streams next week, but they're the only one that had that fever dream. Nah, games are good. Anyway, and then also, yeah, Stream Elements just helped out, and I also have a show that I do with my good friend, the Dylan Machine here, where we talk about random stuff, and that's the link for it right there. You can check that out as well if you want. Who knows? Whatever. But I'm gonna head out of here for tonight, and I will be back on Wednesday with some more fun stuff. Hey, that is you, Dylan. The Sonic one's doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. My favorite, we released a video about Sonic and how like Sonic needs to like step his game up, and we got like the vitriol of like Sonic fans on us, which is ironic because Dylan is himself a Sonic fan. So that was fun. Did you miss everything? Oh, cat paw, kinda. I'm about to leave, about to hop off, but not yet. So hi, welcome, and also goodbye soon. Anyway, I told Dylan, I was like, I feel like a real YouTuber now that I got Sonic fans to get mad at me. So as a Sonic fan, I can attest they're not that bright. Accurate. At least Sonic Team isn't. Well, Sonic fans sometimes aren't either. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate you as always, and I will see you on Wednesday for the last stream on Twitch, and then I will see you on the YouTubes. Ooh, the YouTubes. Ooh, it's gonna be so cool. Also, I've had a few people like say that, oh, the interface on YouTube is like garbage, and it kind of is, and I'm not gonna say that it isn't. There are some extensions that make it like more like Twitch. I might be posting them in the description of every video just so we can all be on the same page about how to make it look like that. It'll be cool. Who knows? Anyway, I'm out of here. You guys are great. I will see you on Wednesday. Later.